A young officer in Napoleon's army pursues a mysterious woman to the castle of an elderly baron, where he finds signs of witchcraft and the shocking truth about her in The Terror, a 1963 cult horror film produced and directed by Roger Corman. The film stars Boris Karloff and Jack Nicholson, the latter of whom made his feature film debut 3 years earlier in Corman's Little Shop of Horrors. Separated from his regiment during the Napoleonic Wars, Lieutenant Andre Duvalier briefly comes across a beautiful young woman, Helene.
Wait, you haven't told me your name.
My name's Elaine.
An old woman who seems to live in the forest alone and gives him shelter tells him that he is imagining things. But the young woman intrigues him, and he eventually follows her to Baron Victor Frederick Von Lepp's castle. There he learns that the girl he's seen is identical to the Baron's late wife, Ilsa, who has been dead for 20 years. The Baron admits to having killed her when he returned unexpectedly, only to find her in the arms of another man. Duvalier is convinced that the girl is real, however, and sets out to uncover the truth. The Terror is famous for being filmed on sets left over from other American International Pictures productions, including The Haunted Palace. It began when Corman had just finished filming The Raven and had a few spare days, an expensive castle which was about to be demolished after the filming, and a contract with Boris Karloff for 3 films, first of which was Raven. Corman quickly wrote a basic outline of the story and filmed a largely improvised piece with Karloff, Jack Nicholson, who was also in The Raven, and his regular Dick Miller. All of the scenes involving Boris Karloff were filmed by Corman in 4 days, but the finished film, which was largely improvised, required 9 months to complete, the longest production of Corman's career. The castle scenes with Karloff were shot so quickly that Corman didn't even bother to use slates to mark the beginning of shots. Once he just had the actors walk downstairs one after another in succession, figuring he could later cut the single shot into separate shots that he could probably use somewhere. As Corman was busy, the remainder of the film was filmed over a course of 9 months by at least 5 other directors. Francis Ford Coppola, who shot his footage over 11 days, of which approximately 10 minutes is in the film. Dennis Jacob, who also doubled for Boris Karloff in the climactic flood scene. Monty Hellman. Jack Hill, who shot, among other things, a shot involving quicksand in his own backyard, and Jack Nicholson, who had approached Corman to direct some scenes because, quote, everyone else did, and was granted permission. Apart from that, Dick Miller is also rumored to have some directorial input in the film. Corman made The Terror in the midst of a cycle of Edgar Allan Poe adaptations, and considers it an honorary member of that cycle. The previous Poe pictures had ended with the castle or mansion being destroyed by fire, but with this one, Corman decided to change the formula and have the castle destroyed by a flood instead. Noting the abundance of second-unit directors who had worked on the film, 4 to that point, Jack Nicholson requested and received permission to direct the climactic flood sequence himself. While being interviewed for the documentary Corman's World: Exploits of a Hollywood Rebel, Nicholson insisted that the finished movie had no cohesive plotline. He gleefully recounted the scene where his character throws Stefan, Dick Miller, against a wall and threatens him, to which the Stefan character attempts to explain where the story is through ham-fisted, probably last-minute dialogue additions. Nicholson has also noted that he almost drowned shooting a scene in the ocean at Big Sur. He was knocked over by a wave and his uniform almost dragged him down. The uniform worn by Nicholson was previously used by Marlon Brando in Desiree. Nicholson later reflected on the movie fondly, saying, quote, I had a great time, paid the rent, they don't make movies like The Terror anymore. Incidentally, Sandra Knight, who was married to Nicholson at the time, was pregnant while filming with daughter Jennifer Nicholson. The January 2, 1963 Variety announced The Terror as filmmaker Roger Corman's first release under his recent 3-picture deal with American International Pictures. The budget was estimated at $800,000. The film opened on September 25, 1963 in Los Angeles, California, accompanied by another AIP release, Dementia 13. The September 28, 1963 Los Angeles Times recommended the film to, quote, those who can't resist a good scare.